Hello and herzlich willkommen zum Auf die Fresse, the wXw review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined by Mike Kilby. Mike, you got over the carrot flu, or has it avoided you this time?
Didn't get it. Didn't get a single drop. Didn't even get a cold from the. It was lovely weather.
Yes,
No,
it's been a week late, been all windy and all over the place. Only thing, I think, is the downside from at least from my side. You got off lucky, and I guess we can talk about this. In a circle in Essen, fuck Deutsche Bahn.
I didn't have a problem. I got the right train.
Well, okay. So where do we go? So I used the Deutsche Bahn app, and it told me and a bunch of others who, because we were obviously a big group was after the show, we split in two, and the app told us that it's this train from this platform at Essen. We go there, and there's an empty train on coming to the platform with "Do not board" on, but okay, must be starting here. No. It's a broken down train that barely gets off a platform before it stops. Oh, so there's a platform change. Okay, so we get that train, we get to Duisburg. Just miss one train because it's like good 5-6 minutes late because Deutsche Bahn, of course it is these days. Got to Duisburg, just missed a connection. Next one's in 10 minutes. No sign of it. And it was like the last train of a night or something like that. Or no, last train for an hour. And it finally rocks up, and it's only like 5 minutes from Duisburg to Oberhausen. It's like, for a show that ended, 9:30? We didn't get back to Oberhausen like 11:30.
Yeah.
And then you hear the next one was...
an hour.
And heard some folks. So, yeah, we got an Uber from outside the venue. We're back in 20 minutes. So, I think I'll be doing that next year because, Gelsenkirchen's fine, but I think, we saw this within a circle last year. After a certain time, a lot of the Deutsche Bahn trains, what were direct routes one way now need connections. Especially now, Deutsche Bahn just don't seem to be that reliable, especially in the evenings.
Yeah, I can't relate to that, so it's fine.
But
I guess I got the train that it said to get on the app, and then it was fine. So.
The train you got wasn't listed now, so maybe we're doing some kind of A/B test or what have you, but certainly something to look at in the future. But the one big bit of news coming out of 16 Carat Gold weekend, I mean, my God, there's a lot of wrestling. I mean, I didn't count the shows. I know that Snowboy went to every single one, including Cult.
Yeah.
I was able to take in the Wednesday night heat show, so I'll not touch on whatever is left of my memory from that. But
it was 8 shows, effectively, isn't it?
8 shows, which it was not so much a wild ride, it's a wild marathon for those who took them all in. But the big story coming out was actually just before the start of the Saturday show. So if you were watching at home, you would have seen they had all the live streams set up with Fight Forever before every show. And I think the Saturday one, those live streams for Fight Forever disappeared. And something's going. I think they tweeted on just before the main show started. We're having issues in the building. We'll be starting live. Shotgun's back, I guess the best way to put it. So obviously, Cowd Weekend, the vast majority of the stuff is in German, because guess what, we're in Germany. Dan Malman did the whole thing of, hey guys, and obviously this is not pigeon German translation. How many of you watch the Shotgun vlogs? It's the format we have where we show clips and promos and give the next card. Well, the Shotgun vlog is going away because Shotgun's coming back, and it had ring aprons like back to back or face to face. So when you walked in, you had like these white ring aprons. And I did notice when I got on the balcony, I thought, something doesn't seem right here. And Met Tomasi tipped me off saying, you guys will be happy in a few minutes. Well, what do you mean? So after that, I'd seen the aprons, I thought, what? Like, I thought, had they, had something gone wrong, like we were doing a new logo or something like that. And then they would rip off the aprons and everyone's like, absolute fervour. But, they go straight into taping a match for the Shotgun that started, but, dropped this past Thursday. But yeah, so what they're doing is they're changing their YouTube format, I guess. So instead of dropping stuff randomly throughout the week, they're going to be doing content drops on Thursday, so 6 o'clock European time, 5 o'clock UK time. There'll be something dropping on the free, no, so you don't need membership, so on the free channel every week. I believe it's the wXw Substack mailing newsletter this week said if there's a live stream, then the following Tuesday you'll have a shotgun. So effectively, it is the old shotgun live vlog or shotgun vlog with the extra match thrown in. And then the non-stream weeks, you'll be getting stuff like matches from the Wheel of Wrestling taped events, stuff from the archives, like stuff they put in the breaks on the live streams. Sometimes full shows for the are behind the paywall normally. So I guess it's one way to direct everyone to the channel once a week, try and make the appointment viewing. But I guess for digging, I mean, you've had a chance to see the new Shotgun, Mike. What have you thought of the new format?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, it was a bit of a not to say a disappointment because I'd already seen the match, so kind of wasn't that interested in the match. But no, I mean it's one thing I always thought about the Shotgun vlog is that although it was great to see the promos, they always felt a bit like rushed because it had the music over the back of it, and it was always a little bit like next thing,
Yeah.
next thing. This kind I felt more time to breathe, and especially being sort of a half hour. So that they're effectively going from a sort of 20-minute thing previously to like a 15-minute thing to a half-hour show now, which is fine, ideal, really. Yeah, I
It's a
felt
bit more of a magazine format, I would say.
yeah,
Like you've got, I mean, at least in this first episode, you got Met Massey, like hosting all the links. So it's not just like the old one, like you're saying, where it'd be, 15 minutes of clips, then swoosh transition into here's a promo, here's a promo, here's a promo, and then here's a montage of the forthcoming card. It is mostly the same building blocks, but it's a lot more, I guess, digestible. So it's not a case of if you've not seen the show, we're going to spoil everything for you. At least based on Carat, we didn't show all 60 odd
yeah,
matches, but so they weren't also showing the showing the finish, but not. It wasn't just here's a match, here's the finish. But not making more of a meaningful creation of clips, I guess.
yeah, for sure. And I think it at least gave a bit more um, sort of an insight into. I hope they're going to be able to sort of get the stories. Like we've sort of said maybe the last couple of times, it's been a few recent over the last couple of years. We've sort of said, well, we've only got this show between, Shortcut and the Autumn Festival, and there's only one show between, and then it's kind of like there's not really any chance for stories to really develop in between.
Yeah,
At least I feel you can with this. Um, you could probably do a bit of sort of slower storytelling, and I'm kind of bunny earing with that. Um, there's more chance to maybe let things breathe a bit longer, and also if it does address that issue sometimes where we go, well, there's a 6-week gap between these two shows, and I think that's going to be the good thing. But I thought it was quite good. It was good to sort of see sort of the Axeman Dilnig sort of feud. I thought was quite well done on Shotgun. Likewise, a bit more context from Ahura, a bit more from Guns. I thought was good. I mean, Guns is somebody who works very well in this format, as we all know. I think it was why a lot of people sort of aligned with him sort of back in the day. So that's 8 years ago, but it's like, yeah, it's a good. I thought it was a very good thing, yeah, and I mean, it was also a little bit stuck within the format of Carat. Really, I think that was one of the only things. So when it's the smaller shows and they're going to be things which we're not necessarily going to see straight away, I think that's going to be good stuff.
Yeah, I think a few things. Well, we've probably touched on this in the past. When we've done the many, hey, bring back Shotgun. You've got the stuff there. the last time they did it obviously was during the pandemic, where, let's be frank, folks were cooped up for hours because of the situation. You're not going to get back to the old days where you had endless segments stitched together, or even like the original Shotgun, because back then, they were spending a lot of time taping, and even then they had the clone tapes. So I've used to literally book venues to tape for Shotgun. Obviously, that's a completely different schedule to what wXw runs now. But I think it is probably going to be, I don't know, it'll evolve, it'll be tweaked, but I think a lot of it is going to end up being almost like the old vlog on steroids, where you can have maybe a bit more intricate stuff with the promos. And depending on how far ahead they write, and hopefully you don't get injuries or anything like that to derail, you're going to get stuff like these promos where it's more than just 30 seconds, but have like the longer the skits, so to speak.
Which is always the stuff that people loved.
Yeah, and it's one thing that got everyone was not Tuesday, Wednesday night when we were mucking the days around, sat down to watch. I mean, 5 o'clock on a Thursday evenings may be a bit too early for those of us not in Germany.
It's 6 p.m., isn't it? So
but the same, but at the same point, it's like it's there, it's free. It's not behind a paywall. It's like it was in ye olde days when you had Shotgun and your full match was paywalled. So it's the best of both worlds. So be interesting to see what they do. It's only one episode in. Be getting one at the end of the month after the Frankfurt show. But yeah, so very early days. Glad to see it back, and hopefully it's something that actually something they can build from. Because one thing we'll touch on in this, definitely at least from a crowd perspective. A lot of bodies through those doors for Carat Weekend. They say it was like just under 5,000 people across the entire weekend.
Yeah, I think the other thing is what we're getting Shotgun actually is something that you were getting free anyway, because you was getting the Fight Forever matches, and you was also getting the Shotgun vlog. So actually, nothing's really changed. It's just been packaged in a more consumable format, which was always the thing where I was like, well, this is already being done, why not just put it together? Which so I'll take that as a victory.
We've mourned them for long enough, and it's finally paid off. Or let's not take that as a precedent. But I guess maybe the big thing for us coming out of Carat, at least in terms of the outputs, was touched on, of course, a lot of shows. We're not going to go through every match, obviously, because we'll be here all day, and I think some of us have got places to be. But one thing we mentioned before I think it's our preview podcast, of course, they threw in a Wednesday night heat show. So this Wrestling Academy, they used to, was it Scouting the Next Generation, they used to be called, and it used to be like first weekend of every month or something like that. They do them now midweeks, and it's not every midweek. But they decided to do one the day before in a circle, which for those who got in early or were able to get in early, great. I would say it was a pretty big crowd of mine. So these Heat in the Academy shows, they are free entry, but they suggest we make a donation to charity on the way in. Did you go? Where was it? Beef Resistance Gallery. Eve did a one-off. I think it was called She-Evolution. They did a show there where they had seating out, and it was really badly managed. Like they put enough seats out for each order, but if you ordered, say, 2 or 3 tickets on one order, it was just one seat for you.
Okay, I don't remember
that. They did it once, then went, no, fuck it, we're going to be standing the whole time. So it was like that where you had like the rows of seating, but there was people standing as well. That Academy was packed. Like, I don't think it was quite as busy as like normal in a circle, not for obvious reasons. But I would not be surprised. They don't give a number out, but I would not be surprised if it was like 60, 70, 80 people there just from just how busy it was. Like, I've seen stuff on Instagram of these heat shows where round the ring was like 2 or 3 clusters. It was pretty much lined the whole way around, and then busy by by the gates. But a couple of things from the show. Had Jane Neal steamrolling through Reika and Sultan Zuzu, who would be involved late in the weekend, but not in the ring. We had CSI, I guess, would you call them MVPs for weekend, or like under the radar MVPs from how often they were out, or but they had a match here against Robert Dreisk and Mark Empire, wasn't in yet, so they picked a partner for him, Lorenzo Romano. You can see the joke and what that was building up to. We had an Academy title match. Alexander Bellamy won the title from the Breezy Brews in a match that, let's just say, was not great. Like the finish, what was it? It was like a crucifix in the ropes, holding the ropes that referee somehow couldn't see despite looking at it. The finish on paper made sense, but just the execution was just a bit. No, come on, lads, what are you doing? But the main event was every time I was a little bit critical of this being very contrived. So they called it a surprise benefit Academy Rampage match. So they've done these surprise benefit matches before, where the winner gets, it's not a title shot necessarily, it's something. But this was a Royal Rumble match, so timed entry battle royal. When it got down for the last four, then turned into a four-way elimination match. A couple of names you might recognise. Alpha Kevin was in there, Maverick was in there, Abdul Kanan was in there. There's a few names as well, being trained around you. Valon Cage, Nandor from Hungary, Augustin Duford, I think I've seen clicking on Cage match. It was won by a kid called Amadeo, who I believe is a Mike D. Vecchio training out of Bodyzoy in Belgium. And his surprise benefit was a spot on the Wheel of Wrestling 74 card over the weekend, which we'll get onto, he made good use of. But it was a show, it was like, 6-7 matches, and it was over and done for an hour and a half, no interval. So, for 7 o'clock start and you're out the building at 8:30, I think it was back to the hotel at 9:30. You cannot complain. Like, more shows like that, please, especially when you've got a really stacked weekend. But I definitely want to say, worth going to. If, I'd imagine they do one for Carat next year, but I don't know if they've got the autumn schedule out for the Person Grand Prix. But
I doubt they'll do it for the autumn, because if you think about it, this time they did it in the Academy on the Wednesday, but there wasn't a show in the Academy on the Thursday.
Yeah. I think
will be a show in the Academy on the Thursday of the autumn festival. So
yes, maybe that becomes a new couch edition. But it was a nice surprise. There's a fair few names which you wouldn't have ordinarily have seen, especially in the Rampage match. I think a fair few of them end up being like security or ring crew for Couch Weekend. So they got for looking as well. Start with Inner Circle. That was first show back of a Turok in 20 years. Sold out 300 people there, and it didn't feel overly cramped either. Like, the Academy, that's 110, maybe 120, that feels overly cramped. This is like 300. I generally felt they could have snuck a few more in without it feeling too, swing, not enough room to swing a cat kind of thing.
In Turok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It was great, a great venue. I think there was a few people who maybe complained a bit about maybe a few sort of not eye lines, sort of view lines.
Yeah.
There's quite a few places in that venue where you could be stood, and you could sell it as a restricted view for sure. But no, I think I kind of just stood over in the corner. We're actually kind of in the English speaking section, I guess what we'd call it. But there was obviously the second level on the other side, which was sort of a raised bit, which looked quite interesting.
I think that, by the look of that, looks like what the stage, like they had music, would normally be.
Yeah. So yeah. I think it just means next time I maybe would consider going somewhere else. But it's just yeah, it's I thought it was a really good venue. Not my favourite venue I've ever been to by any stretch of the imagination, but it was nice to know how much it meant to people to be working there or to be watching a show there, because I suppose I can't think of an equivalent sort of back over here really. But I mean, I feel like if I got to go to another show in the cockpit.
Yeah, that's probably the nearest thing that people hold dear to the heart, yeah.
I miss the cockpit like I don't think any other thing. And I loved the cockpit. I loved going to the shows at the cockpit, and I feel probably it's the same sort of thing, really. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed Inner Circle. I think it was a bit of a weaker one, really. I think it was a bit one of the weaker Inner Circles, really, in recent years. But I feel the venue was the star.
Yeah, the occasion was we're back in Essen after 20
Yeah,
years. Again, we'll blitz through some of the matches. We had the wXw and I guess German debut of Katsuya Murashima. He got we used to do this when we had a lot more of the academy shows. Like when you graduate, you wrestle your coach. Like we had this with Walter and Julian Pace. We had it with was it Walt? No, Walter and Julian Pace. We had it with Walt and Sir Francis Caspin back in the day when we used to be running Essen. So no, granted, Murashima isn't a WXW trainee, far from it, but his welcome into WXW was a match against one of the head coaches, and yeah, I think to me that I wouldn't say it was necessarily match of a night, but it wasn't that far off.
yeah. I think it was. Yeah, I think the match I enjoyed most was probably apart from the Murashima one. I enjoyed the Jay Nero Johnny Robbie match. Actually, I thought that was very good.
I think, yeah, I mean, the gay was Jay Neal, Johnny Robbie, and Miko Lana Rake. They were not Miko and Johnny were in for the West Coast Pro stuff. Now they got a fair few air miles in because they did Inner Circle, went to Eve on a Saturday and back in Germany for Saturday morning, which, yeah, that is not a schedule I've wanted to have attempted, knowing what German infrastructure's like these days. But yeah, we had the grind against the Crush Boys, but I don't know. I mean, we saw this. We've seen this before. Guys coming in, their first day in is maybe a bit. Like I know Starboy Charlie, and I'll say this because he literally said this in front of us at the match. He slipped on a springboard. It's like, oh yeah, these German ropes are not what I'm used to. and you get that. It's like, it's if you're on these shows, but if you're flying and working these kind of shows, it's probably better if you do get these in because you kind of get the feel of the ring because WXW ring's custom built. It's custom dimensions, so it was going to be things like that where yeah, you can walk ring before the show, you can do whatever, but actual ring times where you need to figure stuff out like that for yourself. But yeah, I do agree with you. I do think it wasn't one of the stronger ones, but again, I guess since we've moved in a circle to just a mystery card format, it's kind of trending that way. We've had a few big ones, but at the same point, if you gave me the names on the card or the flyings, I don't think I would be able to have pulled on picked a better lineup than what we got. So I don't know if I was more speaking to the people they had to play with rather than the combination, so to speak.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I guess main takeaways out of this main event was Leah Bloom and Cowboy Way against Toxin, Aladdin Angels, and Dieter Schwartz. Don't know, we'll talk a lot about him later. Thomas Shire attacked Ilya after the main event, and I guess that was the start of the. I don't want to call it a heel turn because I know Shire said, "Oh, I'm working for myself now. I'm not doing favors for anyone." But that was definitely the first hint for the weekend of he's not here to be all happy and smiley and wave his cowboy hat in the air. So it was a nice seed to plant before the weekend, and those who went to the tournament and this, certainly had a bit more understanding as we went on. And of course, they did announce Inner Circle for Carat next year is going to be for Turok. So yeah, that does look to be, at least for now, the new norm. Carat in Essen and Inner Circle for Pro Wrestling Grand Prix in Gelsenkirchen. So yeah, we're not going to be making as many trips to Alma Park anytime soon, it seems.
Yeah, it's once a year now.
Moving on to Night One of Carat, and they've been putting the gate numbers out. 929 in this year, about 50 up on last year's number.
It felt busy this year.
Yes. I mean, Ambition was the first show I was sitting in and thinking, bloody hell, it's busy in here.
Yeah.
Like because normally these shows will the matinees will hover around 400. Ambition did a really healthy number. The Indie Wrestling Summit did a really healthy number. I know, was it you posted, I think you go one in Little Tokyo, the posters they were advertising, like they had like in in kanji advertising, you see Tetsuya Naito, see Hashimoto, see Bushi, see Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people have added Drew, but certainly the fact that it's been more than just live wrestling. He's 16 Carat Gold. Heck, they even had, was it before the WWE show in Dusseldorf a few weeks back, they had a LED banner opposite the arena there. So they are wrestling their laws. They are making sure hey, WWE, if you're coming to our neck of the woods, you're damn right we're going to find somewhere to advertise. And it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that they kind of realised sort of in the last sort of decade, basically, is I actually was lucky enough on Sunday. I bumped into Dennis Birkendahl. He was in the sort of the he was there as a guest, and he was sort of saying like it's always reminded him of a thing of he once went to go. If you know Oberhausen, you know what I'm talking about. But he was once filling up the wXw van at the Shell garage at Centro, which is next to the Trip and the Centro. So this is half a mile from the Turbinenhalle, and the guy in the Shell garage is saying, "What's this wrestling thing?" And it's like, "Oh, we're a German wrestling company." He's like, "What? We have wrestling in Germany?" He's like, "Yeah, we run at the Turbinenhalle." And they're like, "Oh, we've never heard." So you say the biggest company in Germany um, was not known by a wrestling fan who worked half a mile away from the
Yeah.
venue, which is the thing. So, and I think I remember Alan Cheapshot a few months back saying he bumped into some fans at Collision, and he was like, they're like, "Oh, do you like wXw?" And it was like blank faces. So they've
Yep.
got to work on it. They had posted up sort of Little Tokyo in Düsseldorf. I did manage to very politely ask a guy in a noodle shop to let me have the poster because it's lovely. It's got Yamato and Suzuki and Naito and Hashimoto and Bushi on it. And the Japanese, it says, Japanese professional wrestling, the real thing, is coming to Germany. Experience Japanese professional wrestling, which has captivated fans all around the world. So yeah, that's the translation, and it's a really cool poster, and I don't think many people will have that poster. So I feel that's going to be my.
It's very limited edition.
That's going to be my secret bit of rare merch. That is so. And the other great thing is it was laminated, so I put it in my suitcase. And
Oh,
it was
wow.
perfect when I got home. So yeah, I've got it
Because
hanging up in my bookcase now. So.
I remember years back, back in the media centre days, they used to give us the posters.
I've still
And
got one somewhere.
the problem was the posters were always way too big for the suitcase I took.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it was the first couple of years, like, this is nice, but I'm going to have to leave this in my hotel room because I can't even take this on the plane with me.
Yeah.
But going back to Dennis and Michelle garage stuff, not flash forward when I went in on Wednesday, and at Passport Control in Dusseldorf. Oh yeah, what are you here for? Yeah, I'm here to see some wrestling in Oberhausen. Oh, the Turbinenhalle. Like, oh, it's the first time I've actually said that, and it's not been like a blagging of people. Enough person with the passport desk knows about it. So clearly, either got a big wrestling fan there, or the word is slowly getting out.
Or every time I've gone through, I've had to say what I'm doing. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, usually I say, "Oh, I'm going to see wrestling. I'm staying here, this hotel." Okay, how long for? Why are you coming? It's like, but this time it's like, yeah, the Turbinenhalle. So yeah, it's most straightforward trip through passport control I've had. On slide one of Carat, say 9:29 in. So we had the alternate four-way kicking off. This was basically a mystery four-way. Jay Joshua, who's in for the Indie Wrestling Summit Part 1, over Luca De Leone, Starboy Charlie, and Rambo, who... I mean, I would say that I know for some, no joke, especially on the Sunday show, maybe a bit too much from Brit Rez, but I think Jay Joshua's one of those names who really made his minutes count across the week.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, not going to touch the results, but not going to go too in depth in every match. Rest of the Carat Night won his first round matches. Peach Tahani going through against Ares. Zoltan upsetting Bushi with a backslide. I think we maybe didn't give this one enough credit as being a potential banana skin. again with Zoltan, and they're making a big deal of he's the youngest name ever to appear in Carat. I mean, he was back at school on Monday, apparently, so that kind of tells you how young. Thomas Shire beating Shihiro Hashimoto was one of the stronger matches of the night. Eric Stevens over Bobby Guns. Alan Angels going to against Titus Alexander. Of course, that was meant to be Ricky Sosa against Titus Alexander. And I think out of all the matches on the night, that probably suffered the most. Just by way of it being, and you'll probably know what I mean when I say this, showcase code, in that every other match on the card was a name that was either directly home name or had enough stock. So like Tahani, like Zoltan, like Thomas Shire. This was a match which probably wouldn't have looked out of place on like an indie wrestling summit or a directly renowned French showcase. And to me, it felt like the first 5-6 minutes of it suffered because it was everyone trying to acclimatize. Like, Nolan Angels did one show, but I was in Frankfurt, and I know he was in AEW, but that was many years ago. So it was getting introducing himself and Titus Alexander introducing himself. It was fine, but I think
I thought Titus did quite well over the weekend.
I was expecting more out of him, and I have seen, like, I think he's a problem. Now, going through the photographs that have been posting big back body drop on Twitter, facially, and he looked bored for the whole weekend. Like, I just like going from thinking, has he got any facial expressions? Like, just every single photo just looked to be the same. Like, I don't know if it's just he's stoic, but again, he's got this with Crush Boys with Starboy Choice. Like, that's not the me serious wrestler, kind of thing. But it's like, just every time he came out, I don't want to say he was going through the motions, but just looking at him, it just looked like he was just going A to B to C to D, and there just wasn't much behind. Like, don't get me wrong, he didn't shit the bed. He wasn't completely awful, but I was expecting something completely different.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I don't know. I maybe disagree with you on that, but I thought he did all right at Titus. Honestly, maybe he's doing what's that thing mewing? He's just mewing the whole weekend.
Yeah. A bit old for that now. Tetsuya Naito beating Detroit. I think this one. Do we want to talk about the bump sweepstakes?
Yeah,
without mentioning names.
Well, I don't know. I'm happy to. There was no. It was tweeted about, so it's not as if it's a state secret. So there was effectively amongst, we'll say the majority travelling group, so including yourself and myself and other people you will know. There was a €5 buy-in sweepstake where you had to guess how many bumps Naito was taking over the weekend, and we was all agreeing on what the bump was. So it wasn't as if like one person was like going, "No, that's not a bump," or "That is a bump." It was like we all had to consensus be like, "Yeah, that's a bump," and it's arse bump or back bump, and not from their own move. And so my number was 8.
I went 7, and I think I was busted by the end of Saturday.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, so I was. It was sitting on 6 on. No, it was sitting on 5 after night 1. Saturday, it went to 12, and it finished on 12 because he didn't take a bump on night 3. When he didn't take his shirt off, I think Gadge nearly ordered the big steak at Louisiana already. But effectively, yeah, there was, and it actually gave us a real sort of incentive to really pay attention to the Naito matches. It was good. It was good fun.
I think again because Bushi went out earlier on, we kind of figured out no, there's no way they're both going out on night 1, and it wasn't bad. There was a few maybe miscommunications throughout. Like, knows it was a neck breaker. Data Schwartz maybe went down a bit too early for, but again, that's maybe language barrier as well. But I think as well it's just the whole thing of Tetsuya Naito in 2026 is with Tetsuya Naito of 2016, and I guess that's kind of some of the limitations you've got to work with now. That being said, he had probably one of the matches of the entire weekend of the next night. So if you're thinking we write them off based on one match, you're sadly mistaken.
That's probably the night 2 match. Obviously, we'll discuss shortly. I think it's probably the best match he's had well, I mean, certainly since even New Japan, but in
I'd
terms,
probably,
I would
I'd
even
probably
go
even say in the
properly.
last 5 years.
I'd probably go since post-COVID, really, generally.
Yeah.
I can't think of much else.
Wrap up night one, Yamato over Axel Tischer, and main event, Ahura pinning Dennis Dolnig. Got for a long time, 26 minutes. I thought that was one where you had the shenanigans at the end. Ref bump Dolnig using the bell hammer, belt shots, what have you. Maybe a bit longer in the tooth, just with all the with all the stuff going. But certainly, I mean, again, the story going in was who was saying win, lose, or draw, I'm done this weekend. And you had the crowd literally hanging on every single near fall, win or lose, because they genuinely felt this is my last chance I'm seeing him. I'm not sitting my hands for this.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was. I concur with that. I think one match I think we just want to say is Tom Shire versus Big Hash as well. I thought was.
Yeah.
I- I'm just looking at your thing, which said 8 minutes 25. It certainly didn't feel it.
Nope.
It felt like it was had a lot more sort of time than that. But
And let that be a lesson to some companies where you can fit a lot into the time without giving it
yeah,
a lot of time, if you know what I mean.
and I'm not saying long because it was boring. It just felt like I feel like I saw every single second of that match, and
Yeah.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
So that was night one. Saturday, of course, the busiest. Well, it's the busiest day of the year if you, especially if you're doing wrestling cult.
Which I didn't this time.
Yeah, I heard tickets seem to go a bit quick.
Well, no. Well, I bought tickets in January, or I thought I bought a ticket in January. This was on a Wednesday. I'm sort of sitting in bed. I was like, because I printed out my tickets at work the day before. Sorry, don't put me a disciplinary for doing that. But I printed my Carat tickets at work, and I realised on Wednesday night I was like, oh, I didn't actually print me cult tickets. Went through all my emails, like I can't see these tickets anywhere. This is a bit funny. I checked on every email address I had just in case it was on a different one. Like, no, I couldn't see it. I was like, let me go through my PayPal. Wasn't in my PayPal. Wasn't in my bank statement. So I'm like, I didn't buy a ticket. And then I actually I went on the wrestling cult. I was like, I'll just buy a ticket. And then there was a message at about 6 p.m. And this was 9 p.m. I'm looking at this. It was like, final ticket has just been sold, and I'm like, you bastard. So yeah, I
Oh,
didn't actually go to Wrestling Cult in the end, but I had a nice walk around Oberhausen instead. So there you go. But
just a quick run through the cult. I mean, the cult results. A couple of names you'll be familiar with. Baby Allison retaining the Women of Cult belt over Jane Neal and Jessie J. The Beer Cowboys of Mike Schwartz and Terrible Ted Jr.
Terrible Ted.
That's it. There's two names there. Defeating Heinrichson and Martyrium. Maggot retained the No Limits belt over MBM, Ultima Sombra, and Tucker. Yep, that one who still has the
Tucker.
UK Championship tournament on his Twitter account. There's a Cult Kyle O'Reilly match.
Which is like a
Guess
rumble.
12-way elimination. It's won by Mutt Van Kunda of Long and Thick. A couple of names in here you may know of, remember. Alex Duke, Fires Aguilar, I think
The return of
long time
hate.
Academy. Hate as well.
Yeah.
Tim Stubing, Maverick, and Andy Ashanti, who may know under another name from back in the days, commentary in WXW.
Yeah.
Action Andy Ashanti, which yeah, I think I saw him once on a Project Nova show, and yeah, it's. I mean, he's been training for a while. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's kind of doing like these fill-ins maybe tells you how it's going. That's not an indictment either way. But yeah, main event Carnage retaining the cult title against Axel Tischer, and those who are in through shopping then legged across the Turbine Hall car park for the Indie Wrestling Summit. This 494 people in the doors, 100 more from the Shotgun Bonanza with the same time slot last year. So again, everything going, coming up Millhouse here. So we open match, West Coast Pro Golden Gate Championship, Andrew Cass against Starboy Charlie. This may as well have been a bloody training school match. Like I mentioned this for time and watching back on stream. These were two guys going through like almost like a training match without any acknowledgement of the crowd.
Yeah.
Like the whole time, it's like you're sitting there watching you're clapping, you're cheering, but it's like, okay, you're just working for yourselves. Like, and the big knock I had in this whole show was there's no heels. It was all baby faces. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, match one, match two, that's fine. When you're getting through to like match five and match six, and it's all good guys against good guys, now you sat there going, "Come on, no, like
Where's the
I get
spice?
why, yeah. Where's the spice? Where's the story? No, I don't be very no. One of the grifters like, where's the story? But at some point, you've got to go for this and just ask. Like, I get you don't want to be that guy who is the heel and then doesn't sell merchandise because you've pissed off people like Nathan Black, for instance. He popped on Wheel of Wrestling show. And he used the merch table. I'm pretty sure someone bought a T-shirt off him. But like, just the whole thing just felt like this was perfectly fine wrestling, but was wrestling for the sake of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And by the halfway point, like, yeah, I'm done. I could no, I've had enough. But go through had Nico Angelo beating Gabriel Fuerza for the New Wave, not title match, but for representing New Wave
I thought
Wrestling.
this was alright. I thought that was alright. It was competent.
Was
It was just a bit long.
Yeah, could have done a few minutes being shaved off. I mean, I guess we've made the joke before these showcase shows. It's all 20-minute matches or 20 minutes belt, curtain to curtain, because everyone's got to establish, then the other guy establishes, and then get the result. But this one was the second longest, third longest by a matter of seconds. Corey Zero retaining the feud title over Mila Schmidt. Again, I thought this was fine. On the live stream, they tried to weave in some storyline from Fury, I guess, for people who watch that. So they apparently do a version of the Money in the Bank gimmick, where basically you win a match and you can get a title shot anytime you want for, I guess, a year. That was won by Jessie J back in October, the six-way Golden Brawl. And she was shown at ringside next to Dan Malman with her golden ticket, and was like a post-match confrontation with Corey and Jessie J. But live, you wouldn't have noticed unless you were staring at the timekeeper's table. So I guess it's good for them trying to weave this in, but it also felt a little bit superfluous, more like lip service more than anything else. Jay Joshua beating Joe Lando.
I thought this was good as well.
This was good again. It suffered from the Rev Pro thing of maybe being a bit too long. Again, Jay Joshua, I'd say Rev Pro's well, as much as I'm, kind of avoiding that. He's on the run of his life right now, I'd say. He's getting a lot of exposure and he's backing it up as well in the ring.
I think I'm not the biggest fan of Joe Lando really as a worker, but I thought this was
makes two of us.
Yeah, I thought this was really good. I thought it was good for like it's one of the better matches I've seen on sort of one of these afternoon sort of the dead spot. I thought it was one of the better ones I've seen actually. I'm going back a few years at that as well. So.
And then we've maybe followed with one of the ones which I don't say the worst, but certainly one of the most disappointing ones. Toxin Spiderfly. This went 18 minutes, was the longest one of the show. It felt like it. And I would dare say the first half, it felt like they'd never seen each other before.
I genuinely think there's a conspiracy that they've got the wrong people. They've brought the wrong people over. Whatever tape they've seen of these two luchadors, it seems like they sent the wrong ones over.
Yeah. Or just give them these guys and these hoods. They'll not notice.
They are absolutely dreadful. And I think that's kind of carried through the weekend in general, these two.
Yeah, I mean, the luch lads, and we'll touch on this when we get to night 3. It's a kind of thing where you get to, like, you'll get some matches, like the party catch match. It gets built up so much and it has such a reputation, people expect a certain thing. And if it doesn't even come close to that, even if a match itself is good, people are left feeling a little bit deflated that we kind of got that. And I don't want to blame it just on these two guys. And we can have that debate when we get through to night 3. But certainly, a match I was kind of looking forward to. I mean, I was looking at this Greater Stress Liverpool that keeps going on every 10 years. I believe this year is one of the years people are doing their ballots for it. And I've seen Spiderfly's name on there a lot and fairly high up a few lists. There's got to be a second Spiderfly, surely.
Greatest wrestler ever, as in
GWE.
Of all time?
Yeah.
All right, okay. I wouldn't put him in the top 80 wrestlers I saw this weekend.
But I mean,
Well, he was
like,
okay. Actually, Spiderfly was even. I don't know. Actually, no.
but maybe it's a bad opponent, but just like on this weekend, and you can have bad weekends, but just on this weekend, I'm thinking there have to be a second Spiderfly. They've done the second Ultimate Warrior gimmick, But
Yeah.
main event, West Coast Pro Women's Championship, Johnny Robbie beating Miko Alana. I thought this was pretty good. They had Brian saying he was overdoing a documentary for Wrestling with Regret for the whole weekend. He ring announced race. What was his gimmick? He was wearing a T-shirt of Sting from, was it the Millennium Final show?
Yeah.
At the Oberhausen Arena. And again, this just speaks to something I've seen a lot of places. A lot of the current generation wrestling fans don't give a shiny crap about history. Like the reaction that got, like 10 years ago, you got, yay, he said our town. This, you just got, a few people plaintively clapping like, woo, Sting. But yeah, match I thought was pretty good. Obviously, both Johnny and Miko had done stuff over it in a circle. But I thought, again, for the 11 minutes, they both, established themselves. Again, not for clear good guy, bad guy, which, I know Johnny Robbie leans towards being bad guy, when she wrestles. But I think overall, as a format, the Indie Wrestling Summit, it's definitely worked out better than the old, renowned French showcases. Definitely worked out a lot better than we ever had progress on. I just think, I get promotions don't want to burn big storylines. Like, yeah, you can have, I'll say throwaway with massive air quotes here, throwaway title defenses. I get you don't want to burn off storylines. But if you're just going to throw out, white meat matches like this, that shine's going to fade real quick. So it'll be interesting to see, what they, if this comes back next year. I hope it does because, they have found a format that works. But I just think it just needs a little bit more seasoning just to get it to the point where, you're seeing people who want to boo again. You're seeing people who want to cheer for again rather than, he did a good move. They did a good move.
Yeah, I think there's a promotion I feel actually probably would have been a good fit, but they're actually in Japan at the moment. Was a PP Evenmen from Poland. I think they probably would have been ideal. Our dear friend, I'm going to use the drop of the friend of the show thing. Dan is a regular at PPW in Poland, and I actually they do seem like sort of the mad promotion that should get invited. But the other thing I kind of want to say is that I feel with these, I don't understand what's not been done, but I feel like if you're inviting lots of people from lots of different promotions in, it should be shuffling. It should be, Jay Joshua taking on, Starboy Charlie, or Joe Lando against. Toxin.
Could you imagine Joe Lando again? Yeah, Joe Lando Toxin is one I was thinking of.
It should be it's almost like, they could do like a roulette show, and it's like, let's spin the wheel. You've got this person, you work it obviously, but
yeah,
but like, you spin the wheel, and it's like, oh, we got Corey Zero versus Johnny Robbie, or it's a three-way: Johnny Robbie versus Corey Zero and Anita Vaughan back, and you could sort of, all you do is you say these are the people on the show.
This promotion sent over Guy X, and we'll see. Even they do before the show, or we used to do the streams and have the work draw there. Like I say, this particular format's worked. I do feel like because they did do the whole, well, for the most part, because some promotions didn't send a video in, they did do the he's a 30-second sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Although based on those clips, I would not be. We're not going to, but for the sake of it, Brendan White against the Stuffed Bear's got to be booked somewhere because I got the biggest reaction of the show on this.
Yeah. Yeah, precisely.
Shout out Brendan White, by the way. But that was Indie Wrestling Summit. Quick turnaround. Ambition. 562 in the doors, down up from 441 last year. So again, whether it was Minoru Suzuki and Hashimoto booked or just the general, uplift across the weekend remains to be seen. But so this was the first Ambition we've had without a tournament. So basically, had a lot more names on the lineup. Some think was the only time you saw them, or at least in ring, at least. Thomas Shire beating Henry Faust. Henry's first time I'd seen him live. Uh, you know, I fit this like an absolute glove, and said to him after the show, hope this isn't a one and done for him. Like I know he got buoyed by the traveling fans, but by the end it felt like they some at least some of the German fans had took to him as well.
Yeah, I'd say, and I think that it was good to sort of establish sort of going forward Tom Shire as a threat. I think
The
through
mean
that run.
side, yeah.
Yeah.
Katsuyama Oshima's jumping Boston Crab, submitting Emil Verla pretty quickly. Kev Lloyd beating Joseph Alexander. Fast Time Mudo knocking out Sasa Keel.
I thought that was brilliant. One of the
Yeah, Sasa Keel, for a guy who's been on the way out for the last God knows how long, he didn't like he missed a step here. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, he's my the stuff I used to. He wasn't like threatening like the V-Jack or what have you. But he looked like a guy who they could bring back. When I say semi-weight, would have like one big last run, and not look like he needs carrying up or anything like that.
A lot better than maybe you think about someone like Aaron Insane.
Yeah.
He's very,
well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's more legs in him than there is in.
And Mudo, I guess, leaning more towards the bastard Mudo stuff he's been doing in GWF. Hey, he's unlikable, so you may as well lean into it, I guess.
Yeah, I honestly like.
So not bastard rotten Mudo.
We was sort of saying like if Mudo worked like this more often, be like thinking he'd be bloody. So I think this and the Drunken Ambition matches are his two best matches ever, basically. And yeah, it's I think this was really good fun, and I say it was sort of good to see the mean streak, and likewise, Sasha Kill was a brilliant sort of return, and fit like a glove.
Jeremy White submitting Liam Slater. I think about 1040 was the longest match of the night. It was a lot more ground-based, a lot more, I'll say, the war of attrition kind of wrestling. I do think it's tough to debate again. White was not that many people familiar with him, but for the work itself, it's not pretty damn good.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Wyatt. He's somebody who I think I said on the preview, someone I've been aware of for a sort of good number of years, and I think it was maybe a bit. I don't think it necessarily worked too well with Liam Slater, but
yeah.
It was I was really happy to sort of see him, and I think he did do well, and I think he strikes me as somebody who probably could come back.
Yeah, he would fit in like for Colonel Catcher, even as like a Lost Post.
Yeah, I think that would be he would be a good person sort of putting in that tournament, I think.
Axel Tischer choking out Dieter Schwartz in just over 6 minutes. Again, decent, but I guess the story of the weekend, the Oberhausen crowd really wanted to get behind Dieter Schwartz. He's resisting, and I guess with some malicious compliance by the end. We'll get to that. Match with Shochihiro Hashimoto beating Kanji with a match 9 minutes, and it, like we said earlier with Shion Hashimoto, felt a lot longer, but in a good way. And I think that was much a lot of people had circled when it was announced, and it lived up to all those expectations.
Yeah, really good. I think I had this as my match of the weekend, actually, in general. I think, one of I think it was sort of joint match of the weekend.
Yeah.
Kanji, I can kind of go a little bit hot and cold on, but I think this is her doing what she does at her absolute best, and I think it's maybe done her a lot of good to maybe have not been anywhere near that Eve show as well for all of cunts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she definitely made a really good. She was the perfect person to fight Hashimoto this weekend, and I think she really sort of did working if we say the world of sport style bunny is there. It was exactly the sort of person you want to have against someone like Hashimoto.
Afterwards, we had Bobby Guns. He was meant to be taken on Chris Ridgway. He didn't make it to Oberhausen, so instead we had Nordino as replacement. Pretty much a squash, but what I would say is Dino showed me a fair amount. Like for a guy who's been, again, one of the lost posts for CSI, there's something in there. I know commentary was playing up like, he volunteered, so he's done wrestling tunes, but non-specific ones. The fact that
he looked legit, to be fair.
Yeah,
yeah, completely.
So if there's a life after CSI, there's definitely something that's not just the comedy bald guy who gets dragged in for interference spots. And of course, main event, Minoru Suzuki knocking out Danny Jones in just over 10 minutes.
Really
this wasn't. Yeah, this was the Minoru Suzuki match shoehorned into the Ambition rules. You had Suzuki being the naughty child, going out for chairs, playing playing hide and seek more or less. I said the crowd loved it, so you can't really knock it. And again, if he was pretty much the big draw of this show. So you're going to do the Suzuki match within the Ambition framework and not I do punch kicks, holds. That wouldn't have worked. So I think Ambition, pretty good fun show. You had the fact that it wasn't a couple of people working 2-3 times within a couple of hours definitely helped. I think it was the mindset Felix was telling us. We don't want just another tournament. So I think certainly as long as Person Grand Prix is around, this is going to be the format and absolutely worked this time around.
Yeah, and I think it was some of the matches got more time to breathe, which, as I say, sometimes you think you felt you got to the semi-finals and it was over, and you're like, well, because they don't want to be going all out for the final. Although you do maybe lose the ability for injuries to carry through. But yeah, I thought this was a good sort of format.
So anyway, after that we went on to night 2 of Carat. This one had 1,062 in through the gates, a little bit up on the 1023 from last year, so again, every number pointing up. So this one we had the 4 quarterfinals and a couple of other matches. Yamato beating Eric Stevens in the quarterfinal. Kind of thought it was fine, but I think at this point, even though Stevens, was his 3rd run after retirement, this was kind of the weakest one by factor of it being the only match where it was non-regular against non-regular. That was decent enough for what we had. Rambo and Metahan, or Frank Grimes and Homer Simpson's, I dubbed them, beating the Crush Boys. So they're trying to make lemonade out of lemons here, aren't they? Like, they want to use Metahan. They know the crowd aren't. Heck, his promo from last year is still going on, which I don't think many people bought.
Yeah.
Every time he's around, Rambo's with him, and he is cheered just for existing. Metahan's there. He points himself. He gets booed. He tags himself in. He gets booed. So, but clearly, that's the mechanic there. Really building up. I don't know if I want to see the Metahan Rambo blow off at the end of it, but certainly this yin and yang relationship team, I guess, certainly it's entertaining. Whether they do it outside of Oberhausen, I don't know. But certainly, what they did, worked, on the night, and you had Rambo getting the pin with Metahan getting the killer blow in. So, see where it goes. Quarterfinal, Thomas Shai beating Zoltan. The Zoltan Miracle Run pretty much came to a crashing halt. Again, not too much to write about here. Pretty much what you were expecting when you saw the blind draw come that way. We had Chihiro Hashimoto and Katsuya Murashima beating Jay Neo and Alex Duke. And this is where me just listing matches on the run sheet means we missed a spot. So on night 1, we had Jay Neo interrupting before it was the Allen Angels Tides Alexander match in a big trench coat. And it was based on about how, I was in the Lodestone camp with Bailey and Orlando, and I was taught to surround yourself with like-minded people. And so, for some reason, 10 out of 10 Next Level wanted out. Pass. But the big takeaway of this was she's found the women's title and she's calling herself the wXw Women's Champion, which...
what does Robert Dreisker think of it?
Well, there was that bit in one of the last Shotgun vlogs of the two of them speaking to each other. Yeah. And remember, I guess technically...
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And technically, Robert was the last women's champion for like a split second before that belt got merged into the unified world title.
That's
So,
blown my mind. I didn't even think of that. I'm gonna have to have a
so
watch of that.
so I think it was the last one before Carat.
It was, yes, yeah, because we talked about it. So
yeah, it's like it was a weird connection. Now, with my now, I watched back the promo, and all I'll say is I don't eat pizza when I watch wrestling. I'll wait for the subtitles before I let that get to me. But there was a bit in there which she mentioned I've beaten everyone or never got the Danny Luna match. And I guess hindsight, it does make me wonder, was this the plan for last year's Femme Fatale tournament? Because I think we said at the time, if Jane Neal wasn't injured, she was going to be nailed on to win that tournament. I wonder if they were going to do the same storyline going into for Femme Fatale last year as she wins. Well, I've beaten the whole division, so I'm the champion by default. Now, the fact that she's brought the belt back now, wXw on commentary and in the shotgun, they've gone massively out their way to say that the title has not been reactivated. It's, what was it Kanji said, it's a prop. I do wonder if they're going to drag this out to this year's Femme Fatale and say, yeah, you're right, we did have a women's title and we're going to bring it back, but you've got to win Femme Fatale for it.
Yeah.
And that's the way they get to it. I mean, it's one that would make more sense. I mean, we go through the calendars for these, and I know Jane Neal works a lot of the WXW shows, if not all of them. And I don't want to scare you, Mike, but we were only 3, 4, 5, 6 big live stream shows before Pro Wrestling Grand Prix weekend. So
that's just made me really happy because it's not long.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's we'll do the Wheel of Wrestling live shows where we'll drop matches off, but in terms of stuff we'll be sitting down to watch live, there's only half a dozen shows. You can easily stretch that out. Even if you do we announced on Shotgun she's got Lil Mars in Frankfurt in a couple of weeks. So you could easily have that as well. I'm the champion then, I don't know, Dresden, Leipzig, in East Germany, she'll say I brought the belt home, and then they do the big, well, no, you're not the champion. I don't know. I don't know if you bought that belt, so we're not going to take it off you, but you are not the champion. That belt, is retired. And then maybe after shock at the top, say, look, you really want this belt. Yes, you've been for but they weren't title matches, and then drop the bomb. Maybe that's where they go. I mean, it certainly would make more sense the way they've done it. And in this match, dragging it back to Carat Night 2, it was Alex Duke along with Jane Nero. Hashimoto and Murashima look pretty well as a team. Bear in mind, they've worked together, been literally in what they've done in Germany for a few days, but Hashimoto was over. So it was pretty decent. And again, showing that Jane Neal not quite as unbeatable she wants to think she is.
Yeah.
Carat quarterfinal, Peter Hani over Allen Angels, and then the last quarterfinal by default, Ahura beating Tetsuya Naito, and I think match for whose life this. Just if only if not from the level of a name he was facing, the fact that everyone was biting because they people. It's the whole thing. You overthink when you think you know more. It's like they're not beating Tetsuya Naito. Well, he's the guy he can send Ahura into the sunset.
Do you know what this reminded me of this match? It reminded me of Bad Bones versus Cody from Carat 17. Because I remember going into that weekend thinking, I'm going to Germany, my first sort of international trip, and I'm going to watch Cody Rhodes win a bloody tournament. And that was not a good prospect at the time.
Yeah. If Naito crowd surfed, would we have counted that bump?
Well, I don't know. It depended if he'd gone near us. Some of us might have dropped him.
we can touch him at on when we get night feed, but I thought this was an absolute masterclass. Again, just because a lot of people would have seen Naito and thought there's no way he's losing. There's no way he's losing, and it was about one spot was the. Whenever I'm talking about, when I'm watching a match, I know the name, but what I'm talking about it's the Divine Sandstorm with Tornillo into the crowd, and who got nothing but the chairs, and thought, yep, that's it. I mean, they even teased for count-out defeat. But in the end, who was 1-2 punch for Lariat and Salamandra. I think it's Dave Bradshaw on commentary because Met wasn't doing this show. Dave Bradshaw mentioned commentary. Naito hadn't lost in a year, and it was Jeff Cobb who beat him in last year's New Japan Cup.
Yeah.
So that's quite a statistic to throw up there.
You just actually reminded me, very similar, not related to this, but Bushi's match on night one was his first singles match in 4 years.
Yeah, of course.
That's another thing too. There was a point in that match where I thought he was looking, where do I tag in? Who do I tag in?
I mean, I think the problem is, because I looked this up as well. It's like, take out the Best for Super Junior tournament 2 years, because obviously Bushi.
Yeah.
Well, Bushi and Naito left New Japan before last year's Best for Super Juniors.
Yeah.
So his last singles match in New Japan would have been September 2024, ironically against Katsuya Murashima, which how these things add up. But yeah, before that it was Noah at the start of the year, Singapore Pro Wrestling in November, and then, so he had one in 2025. He had a couple after Best for Super Juniors. Yeah, he's very much a tag guy as we go on. But yeah, I just suppose it was one of those matches where everyone would have been looking at and going, "Oh yeah, Naito's going through," and the crowd bitten every single near fall because they expected Naito to be the guy to end that streak.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been that was the fear I had, I think.
So at least the rice pudding was still out for dinner, at least. Second half of the show, we start with the street fight, and they haven't put the post-show VODs up, so I don't know if it's still in, but how about Vanessa Sandman, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was, and also it was great because a lot of the people who we were with didn't know that was a thing, and it was just like, sort of jumping out the skin sort of thing.
So this was obviously the street fight. You had Dreiskin Empire as, I guess, the Quasi Dudley Boys, with the Road Warriors shoulder spikes, released, as far as they get up. We had Enter Sandman, in full, with Nick Schreier and Lawrence Roman entering from the stairway not the stage, but like the stairs up to one of the balconies in the Turbine Hall, with Nick Schreier as Hardcore Schreier, i.e. the Sandman, and Lawrence Roman as Just Incredible. I guess the best way to describe the look and the way he was posed on the balcony.
Just because he's bald?
It was the way he was posed on the balcony.
Okay.
The same as Just Incredible. Beamed Nick Schreier for, was it the Aqua Reaper fizzy sparkling water? Yeah. Just absolutely brained him with no colour there, though, sadly, but they tried. And this, my only criticism of this, it felt a little bit long of a tooth by the time it got to the end, but say what you want about plunder matches, live, there's no way you can't be it's like say firework match when it comes to things like guys are flying all over the place. This was very definition of firework match, if only for the noise being made.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. It was in a way, actually, it maybe did sort of harm the match that comes after it, because it was just so manic, and I think this could have easily have main evented night 2 as much as the world title match, for sure, for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was really good. Again, it was one of the ones which I sort of put up there on the sort of top matches of the weekend. I think all 4 of them, I think, did a really sort of cracking job. Dreisker works really well in this sort of match anyway. Schreier has made a little bit niche of himself. Mm-hmm. Likewise with Roman. And I think Mark Empire did pretty good sort of taking the bumps that he needed to. So yeah,
we've even got a spot for Matthew as well. I'm not seeing the new Botchamania, but I'm pretty sure it's on there.
Yeah.
Finish we had, and again, the other thing that I was really like, oh God, do you have to go there? We had a masked man come out with the crowd. That's the big trope in 2026.
Yeah.
He unmasked pretty quick with Robin Christopher Forwerk. He's back in a Planet Jewish tracksuit jacket, which That's the suit and tracksuit jacket combo looks delightfully 80s. Like, I don't know if he's doing the Krypton factor or what, or maybe Challenge Annika, but
I thought he
it
looked
just
like
felt.
Alan Partridge at the funeral.
Oh, God. Yeah,
He had Castrol GTX
the
on or
Castrol
yeah,
GTX jacket.
that's what
Oh,
I thought he looked like.
yeah. There's the meme I'm not going to get on my head. But yeah, so we had Father come out. They taped Lawrence Roman's legs around the ring post a la Toriano. Left Nick Schreier on his own. And I guess yet again, hardcore wrestling, comes back to bite the grind in the backside because we had this was in Bielefeld, where they brought out the weapons and lost. It happened again here, and I know they said the anniversary match was going to be the last time. I don't think it is.
No, yeah, I think
The fact that you had the forward stuff at the end tells you they're going at least one more time. I don't know where, but that's a finish where unless you do the whole forward stuff of we've gotten the contracts that they're not faced, but they already did that with Ilya Bloom, so I have to see where that goes. Then, of course, main event, Ilya Bloom beating one called Mandus to retain the Unified World Wrestling title. I think this started a bit cold just because everyone was still amped up from what we'd just seen. By the end, this developed pretty well, but I think it was one of those matches which, like, and I don't, would you put the Street Fight Night one? But I think these two, so close to each other in the same show, definitely hurt the world title match.
I have to admit, I, I, I almost felt like there was a point they could have probably put the world title match on like before the break, and I think it would have been just as valuable.
I
You
mean,
know, like they've
yeah,
done that
because
in
I
the
mean,
past. They've done it sort of halfway through the show.
yeah, because I think as well for like Manders and Bloom, like not to say that people didn't expect Bloom to lose, but I do get the feeling that because Manders he posts a schedule on Twitter all the time, he's pretty much back in America things after Frankfurt, so I don't think people expect him to win and have another run. Um, but I think if this had been first half main event and then have the street fight main event, it probably would have been a lot better received. Certainly would have given Manda's arm a lot more time to heal up. That running power slam into the front row, and he just absolutely sliced his arm open.
Yeah,
Giving the slams I think some on the live stream it showed like there was blood pooling on the floor from that. It's like those chairs are lethal, man.
yeah. He obviously caught it from somewhere. I mean, it's entirely possible it might have been a bit of debris or sort of thumbtacks from the previous match as well.
It could well be, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, those turbine hull chairs, they're getting so brittle. They've got new ones in that don't link together anymore. That's how many they've gone through. So yeah, that was night two. After match, Bloom, did probably mentioned he had that WWE tryout, but that's not my dream. My dream's to stay here and headline marquee events, and following the likes of Walter, of Ilya, of Andy, of Carson, of Bad Bones. The one name he didn't mention was Bobby Guns, who came out and attacked Bloom. So there's your next title feud, and well, I'll say to me, it felt like a double bluff. Like, hey, why are you setting up the next title challenger when the winner of Couch gets the title shot? Well, I guess that means who's winning and not getting the title. So that was my mindset going into Sunday of, was bad for double bluff of we've got the new champion, but of a new challenge, but you're now making us think one way, but you're actually going to go another.
yeah. I mean, I didn't read it like that. I think I have to admit, I hadn't understood the. I didn't obviously understand the promo after the show in fully, and I actually initially thought Bobby came into the ring because he was so incensed that Bloom had invoked Bones and Carsten and Andy. I thought that was what the angle was, but no, apparently he
Yeah.
was later and out said, "Oh, it was because you didn't mention me," and I was like, "Oh, that would have been a really good thing if he was like, you've invoked the names of the people, you don't get to stand in their shoes," sort of thing." But yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with this as a feud, at least for Frankfurt. It's a good name to sort of check off on the thing, and it also gives it gives them a bit of time to do a bit of manoeuvring around, because I feel like Ahura's you've got to have another blow off with Tihani. I think there was a lot
Yeah.
of value in that match. If it's going forward, I realise what I've done there, but it's I think there's a lot of value in sort of that, and keeps Bloom busy, but not necessarily. Obviously you got to keep the title on him. So
I think as well it helps Bloom that he's defending against somebody else who isn't Manders or Tahani or Ahura, so get someone else in that universe. But yeah, it's good that as well. It's all homegrown guys, it's all local guys. It feels like for the first time in a while you've got that main event scene that doesn't have any piece reliant on somebody coming in from abroad, which not saying the imports aren't good, but it's nice at times just to be able to have that solid core you can rely on.
There's obviously no problem with the imports. The only problem with the imports is when they're in the title fights, you tend to think probably not going to win the belt, are they?
Well,
we've had
we
exceptions,
definitely,
but it's in more often than not, it's not the case.
yeah. So next day we had Wheel of Wrestling 74. So I guess this is the Hangover show. We don't have a gate number for this, but it looked fairly busy, and we had 10 matches on this card, which by the end was definitely feeling it, I'd have to say. We had one tag team you're only going to get Carat weekends. Katsuya Murashima and Henry Faust beating Roadkill. That I'd heard rumblings that Henry was getting a tag match. Thought, that's going to be like, mid card is going to get squashed by Kojira. Nope. It was, like I say, it was open, and it's actually pretty good, even though a lot of the beating was on Henry's side. It was more he was taking the beating for Murashima to make the comeback and win, but still pretty good.
Yeah, I think Roadkill's sort of as a team, they've really sort of found their feet in wXw. And Aaron's not somebody I've hugely bothered by sort of previously, because he never really got any reps, really, did he? He would turn up at Inner Circle.
He'd only do the weekends, like the festival stuff in a circle. And then him and Con be like Statler and Waldorf sitting on the balcony of security.
And
I don't know if you spotted that all weekend.
Con Kelly, sort of a guy not really booked very much in Ireland, come over to wXw, and he's found Aaron, which is where's that come from? I think they're a great little pairing.
Yeah, I know he did just after COVID, and he had that. Was it Kelly Agus Lynch? It was literally Kelly and Lynch in OTT, but that went nowhere. I think with this, the how wacky their look is, I think it helps both of them. It definitely helps Aaron.
I love their
and
little,
they're trying to
their little raccoon hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that from, but it's certainly. I mean, I don't want them to actually find a bit of roadkill and skin it and wear it, but it certainly helps play up that look, Jessie J and what I suspect was AI music, but I think she had this before AI was the thing.
AI.
Beating Meek Lana in 5 minutes. This was fine. Not too much to write home about. Promise of these weekends, you'll get some guys come in for a match, and then you never see them again. And I very much suspect this is one of them, if only because Jessie J and Jane Nero, I guess both heels, and we don't go down that route. Fair women's division, but I guess we'll see. Quick and Dirty made their main roster debut. They were beaten quick and dirty by Planet Gojira. I'll say Quick and Dirty, they are very popular. I know we touched on this when Nicholas Bock did Dead End.
It's a great act, I think.
It's a good act. Like it's a good act. It's not very much maybe opening lower mid card stuff, but strike while your hands hot, because only far too often you see guys who built some kind of buzz up for themselves, and when a company uses them, it's well, we don't want you to do that, or well, we want you to play off this. Yeah, but that was a year ago. So it's good for getting stuff, and it's not just limited to one company either.
It'd be good. I think you could give them a tag title match in Hamburg, not to win it, but I think give them a good tag team title match. Actually, to be honest, Gojira versus Hot. Actually, he said Hot and Spicy. Gojira versus. But you know where I'm going with that. Gojira versus Quick and Dirty is almost like doing Hot and Spicy versus Outsiders in 2013. So it's in a way,
And even you play it off like a dick move of, hey, we're in Hamburg, we're gonna give. I mean, and I know they've just
run
done the match,
unclosed.
but
Do you
they
know what I
could.
mean?
Yeah, I know they've just done a match. They could easily run it back in Hamburg. Even if we've got an open challenge, first half main event.
Yeah.
It's the easiest pop you're gonna get. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, they didn't look too bad on this. They more than held their own, and bear in mind the experience level differences. It's pretty much all you can expect. Next up, we had my least favorite motorway beating Nathan Black. So Nathan Black, he's Carat says he's the promoter of what was it? PPW. I keep
not Prestige. No.
not Pursuit.
Yeah,
PPW
Prestige
cage
Pro
match
Wrestling, isn't it?
is
In North. Not,
Pursuit Pro Wrestling.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many PPWs in, but so he's the financier slash promoter. He used to be a comedian, which explains a lot of his mic work. He'd learned, I guess, one or two words of German as I consulted. Hello, Deutschland. I hate Germany. They're the most German wrestler alive, and I swear this is a rib on what we said in the last episode. Came out to defend the honor of Germany and won. It's fine for what it is. They're giving him for a lot more reps. Maybe not for length, but again, I'd rather him do these kind of matches than be in the old era on role of, oh, it's a festival weekend. Go on, M4, have a go.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, going back on sort of Nathan Black. Nathan Black was a TV presenter and comedian for years. He was always big into bodybuilding, so he actually basically learned how to wrestle backwards. Because unlike people who learn to wrestle then develop the character stuff, he had the character stuff and then learned to wrestle. I thought he did a good job at it. Generally.
I'd seen bits from like when was it 1PW did their last comeback. It went nowhere. He was brought in at the very end as I now own 1PW, like kind of investor character, which again went nowhere because the company went nowhere. I'd heard a lot about him as a wrestler, and as an actor, I could see how it would rub some people the wrong way, especially if you're the receiving end of stuff. But as an act, it's got its place, and I would not be against him coming back with these kind of shows.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't do it all the time.
In the
but
same way that
certainly,
like Psycho Mike does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have him on the shows where you've got a lot of the travellers in as well, so you can insult the foreigners in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And we get it. But next up, we had a match straight out of Brit Race, although never actually happened before, which surprised me. Greedy Souls beating the Diamond Eyes, pairing with Nico Angelo and Jay Joshua. Again, I thought this was fine. The only thing I would say is, Greedy Souls hadn't been on that much. They'd won the tag tournament, a brief one of the titles, and then they had the blow off in the anniversary show or Back to the Roots. Diamond Eyes, hadn't been around, in wXw at all, and I'd even dare say it's like the C team, because in Progress it's Nico and Connor Mills. In Rev Pro, it's Mills and Joshua. So this is like the, in case of no Mills, smash glass. So, I mean, the match was fine. I do think, again, this fell into the showcase format of we don't know half you guys. Therefore, we'll boo the Greedy Souls, but we need to be convinced by Diamond Eyes. It was fine, but I'd kind of want to see, is this, warming up the Greedy Souls for something else, or is this them, being brought back for keep them on the radar for Tag League later in the year? I know I said Tag League. I'm not changing that.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it took me years to get off that.
Yeah, it was at least we stopped saying World Tag Team Festival. That's like one after that. So it could be saying World Triangle League. But next up we had Amadeo main roster debut by way of winning the Rampage Surprise Mystery Benefit match. He beat Starboy Charlie, Joseph Alexander, and Fast Time Mudo in a 4-way. A lot of this was Mudo being a dick and just trying to break everything up. I thought Amadeo looked really good in this. I know it was a 4-way, easily to hide, but the bits I saw here and in the Rampage match, there's something in that kid.
Yeah, I thought Amadeo really had a really good account of himself, and I think especially the promo he does on Shotgun as well. This is a great way to sort of introduce somebody in, because effectively he came out of nowhere and immediately wowed. I mean, unless you was at the show on the Wednesday, which I obviously wasn't, you wouldn't have seen any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at I mean, obviously he's not done main roster before, and Amadeo had only done one Academy show before that a month earlier.
Yeah.
So he's very much someone who is, pretty new. Like I'm looking now,
Giving the ball and running with it, basically.
But I'm looking now at the Bodies Eye Wrestling Factory. So that's only come back a couple of years. He debuted for them in August 2024 because Bodies Eye hasn't had that many shows since. But he's pretty much been regular. He's had name matches against the likes of Tucker. He's been up against Charlie Sterling a couple of weeks back. Yeah, so he's one of those names that clearly the guys in Belgium think a lot of and getting the ground floor with him because we're seeing elsewhere, and we'll touch on this on the Night 3 show, guys who are coming in and are getting a lot of buzz are getting snapped up quicker than ever. So if you can find guys before others have found them, they can't sign everyone.
Well, don't tempt them to try.
Don't even try that, Tony. But yeah, so I think that was fine. Where do you want to go with this Gas League match? Because live, I was in the second row and it was funny, but as soon as he fought beyond the match, it's a self-contained thing. It was fine. I could see why some would find annoying. If this becomes a thing,
yeah,
it's going to be loathsome.
Yeah, they've got to make sure that it doesn't happen at the next match. I think basically with the.
So for people who haven't watched, this was Dietrich Schwarz against Jeremy Wyatt. Oberhausen and most of Germany want to cheer Dietrich Schwarz. He just wants to shush everyone. So this is where we had for malicious compliance, with the crowd was going shh shh after every move. They were shushing him. To the point where when wrestlers were screaming in pain, they were being shushed. When someone in the crowd was trying to clap, they were being shushed. To a point where someone in the crowd, and I don't know where they found this, learned that there is a sign language for clapping, which is
that's a common
jazz hands.
Yeah.
Commentary picked up on that, and it was a very weird episode. Like it was a match. Like it did hurt the match to a point because you had guys who clearly were not going to be ever getting a response they were aiming to get for anything they were doing. And it just meant that they just had to play along with, I guess, almost a prolonged Dietrich Schwarz control bit where he was doing stuff, not being able to shush the crowd, and then whatever Wyatt was doing is just getting cut off and then getting the jazz hands. Like, if this is the only time it happens, it'll be somebody that pops up in video packages and it'll be a bit. If in Frankfurt, and I don't think he's got a match announced yet, but if in Frankfurt in 2 weeks, the batch cap's going shh, shh, shh. I reserve the right to go back and say this is going to kill. No, it's the subtlety hammer thing.
Yeah,
where you have your bit. It was funny then. I don't even draw a parallel to the Psycho Mike stuff. Where everyone was going about body slam because you didn't have Psycho Mike and Jacob McCrane on shows all the time, and every time Jacob McCrane said, he was scared of body slams, but it wasn't. I don't know, pick a random name. It wasn't Jacob McCrane against Leah Bloom and Bloom saying, I'm just going to body slam you into submission because I know you're scared of him. My worry is that, and maybe this doesn't happen till Drive with Champions in June. My worry is that we know what Oberhausen crowd's like. It becomes a joke that's beaten into the ground, and we come back to Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. I would assume Dietrich Schwarz and Koenig catcher, and we get 3 matches where we all just want to. But we just spend our time trying not to commit any kind of violent act against people shushing. But it was a fun bit for time. But it's the whole what the legacy, what that's going to come of this is going to be
worrying.
Very much colouring what we think of it now, at least in hindsight.
Yeah, very worrying. I do agree. It was I spoke to Matt after the sort of the final show, and he was like, he loved it because. Matt loves everything. He's amazing. The most positive man in the world.
I did like the way he shushed. The reaction wasn't like had the submission, and we had the crowd cheer at the end, but Mick going, "Yours, it was Ziggler."
Yeah.
Yeah, he played along for this great,
which is the right thing to do. But he was also like saying like that potentially could actually be a match which is talked about for decades. In a way.
Yeah, one way or another, I can see it coming back.
It only happens with what we're saying here.
Yeah. Next, we had the Grind beating CSI. I think we saw the same as before from Lawrence Roman, the grizzled veteran, very much unhappy that his younger tag partner again suggested something. Again, they've lost. So very much dichotomy there. It was a very quick win. Again, that makes me think the Grind's going in for the titles or trying to go for a title run again soon. Only because CSI is getting beaten like a drum. We had a shotgun title match. Dennis Stolnik beating Axel Tish by DQ. This again was Stolnik bringing the belt in. Tug of war. Axel Tischer had the belt as it hit the referee. There's a DQ and shotgun blog stuff. Tischer's lost. Well, he's beaten to the punch for a rematch because Stolnik hurriedly gave a title shot to Amadeo. But Tischer says, "Well, if you retain, I want my rematch in a special place, and they're in Dresden next month, so." No price for guessing. Then main event, Kanji against Jay Neo. Jay Neo winning again. Best match on the card race, and absolutely shouldn't be surprised to you.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good main event. Sort of whetted the appetite for the evening. I thought it was a good sort of thing to keep us going ahead. But I think Kanji had a really good weekend. Sort of in the two opportunities she had.
I know she's done Wrestling Cult, and I would not be surprised if she's back as Femme Fatale late this year. And I would not be against her being a regular part of this roster going forward, especially if, as we suspect, women's title officially coming back. It's a very much in the same veins like a Danny Luna was a European in terms of content based challenger who a lot of the crowd knew and have got stock in. So we'll see how long we have to wait for her return. Night 3 of Carat, of course, 2 semi-finals and a bunch of other stuff. Who were beating Thomas Shire, so this was virtually like a redux of last year's final. Especially who at the very end, pretty much held himself up to take the Boss Lariat, cradling Thomas Shire to send Big Tom out in the semis. Again, the post-match beatdown, Thomas Shire attacking Who with the chair, and for one point, I think we were kind of thinking, is Jay Joshua going to be Denmark?
Thanks for using my tweet there. I have to admit, I unfortunately where I stood, I could Joshua sitting on the stairs, and I have to admit, I was thinking, if I was running wXw, I'd at least say, can you just go sit backstage because we need to give. Or the good thing to do would have been then
pull him after that.
Cut to a video of him warming up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you definitely should have done that, but yeah.
Second semi-final, Peach Tahani via Mato. So who's coming in with the obvious arm and shoulder injury. Tahani, his midsection and back was worked over, and kind of like a call back to the 2024 Carat, where he came in against Lawrence Roman with injuries. So 2 quarterfinals, not overly long, but certainly enough to set the story up. And then we wait and see. Well, we know obviously, but wait to see what the final is going to be. Then we had a couple of, buffer matches. One called Manders and Los Tranquilos de Japón beating Planta Kajio and Allen Angels. Thought this was fine. A lot of it was Naito and LTJ, not pissing around. Naito, as I said, didn't take his t-shirt off, didn't take a single bump, so we kind of knew what the diet was there. Bushi sprayed Robert Dreisker with mist. I think it's the only time he sprayed someone all weekend, or at least to the level he did there. Amanda's getting a win over Allen Angels. Again, find what it was. It was the trios match, wasn't the party catch match, is the best way to call it.
Yeah.
Big surprise, Danny Luna, who take on Chihiro Hashimoto. Again, watch for back in the stream. Again, none of these matches announced, and the audible when Danny Luna's music hit was And this is a hell of a match.
Especially as I think
Danny
a lot of
Lou,
us would be stood around going, "Oh, are they going to do Jay Nero again?"
yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh."
I mean, we would say Danny Luna, was through the deadlock years, but I guess post NXT UK, she's really come into her own. Certainly the last year, year or two, she's really, come on leaps and bounds. This is a match, like, if they had this as a Femme Fatale final, again, I don't be all about rematches, but this felt like a match that meant something, even though it was for nothing right now. And I guess as far as after the match, we had Chihiro Hashimoto. She announced, I love Germany and I'll be coming back. She's part of Femme Fatale alongside Mercedes Martinez, who was announced on the Friday night show. Those were only announcements for Wrestling Grand Prix weekend, by the way. So, yeah, two really strong names. You'd expect, 8-woman field, so you'd expect maybe one, maybe two more imports.
Yeah.
And then the rest will be Jay Neo and who else is around. Potentially maybe not Hyperactive or Stephanie Mays. Will touch on that in a second. Minoru Suzuki and Aaliyah Bloom beating Eric Stevens and Bobby Guns. Hey, Bobby Guns finally got the match we all expected to be angling for. And you also got the the old Kodak moments sharing a cigarette with Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, Suzuki with the cigarette, which I think is going to be a reaction image that I'll be using for eternity, basically.
Yep. It's not a gift, it'll certainly be screenshots.
Yeah, at least wXw don't sue you, unlike the New Japans.
wXw, this image is being copyright claimed by wxwnow.de GmbH.
I hope they don't sue me, because they'll basically take my account down.
Yeah, 3 strikes and out was about 300 at this point.
Yeah, that was about 2017.
Then we had the Lucha Trios match. Spiderfly, really Titus Alexander and Zoltan going down to the trio of Tuxine, Ares. I didn't realize this until I looked on Cage Match. Team in Mexico as Mala Fama. They were joined by Ricky Sosa, and I know it was far from unanimous. That TNA stuff with Ricky Sosa, that's definitely impacted some in the crowd. Like, it wasn't just the traveling fan section show. I heard a few of the scattered boos for him.
Yeah.
I know Dwixley did put out. There's a few guys got new music over the weekend. Source was one of them. I guess the music he uses elsewhere is not Gemma friendly. Yeah. So they pretty much like workshop their own version. So sadly, the old song he has, talking about the chippy van that you'd find in the NHL video game, that's all gone. It's a different track with Ricky Sosa like sound bites on top. And they posted a video, I guess, shot on those Meta AI glasses and it's marked point of view, Ricky Sosa's Carat entrance. Except for about 5 seconds, it is very much not his point of view because we're showing one of the cameras from ringside. And the audio from the crowd isn't there either. So I think that kind of tells you, granted, there's a section of the crowd really not happy.
Yeah, he didn't look over us particularly happily. I think we'll say that.
And yeah, so this one, so as for the match, this was getting at before, like the trios match has been the party catch matches had a lot of hype. It's I think previous years it's been one of the matches that has won been the highest ranked WXW match in the Voices polls.
Yeah.
This year, I just think it fell flat, and I don't think it wasn't a bad match, but I do think it was a match that potentially, I don't know if the names maybe didn't work or what.
Well, I don't think the Luchadors were really good. Ares obviously very good. Sosa's good. Zoltan but I think the Luchadors kind of didn't really impress. I think at all over the weekend.
I mean, you look like last year we had Iger Blanc, Mike Loku, Psycho Clown against Mochizuki, Psycho Mike, Cesare. The year before was El Hidro to Dr. Wagner Jr. It was actually an 8-man tag. It was Wagner 3G, Galeno Del Mal, Gringo Loco, and Yoshi against Cash, Hector, Mike D, and Irie.
Yeah.
Go back 2023, and I'll not go back anymore. The French Dawson Commander against Ares, Trey Miguel, and Fuminori Abe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like the names are different. It's like this kind of was hinged on the Toxin Spiderfly stuff we pointed to at the Indie Wrestling Summit. and the rest of the names, at least those names who've had some interactions before with this, apart from maybe the last segment where he had all the dives, didn't really fit what people were expecting. Like, it wasn't a bad match, but it just didn't live up to what people were expecting from what we've seen in years gone by.
Yeah. I just think that maybe the Sosa thing also just put a bit of a bad taste in a few people's mouth.
Yeah.
I don't entirely begrudge him going to do this, because you've got to obviously look after number one, but ultimately, I thought, as we'd said in the previous pod, this was the most important weekend of his career at this point. A good performance on a Carat, which I think he's definitely missed. He's definitely sort of maybe lost that opportunity to really stand out. I think, because I think he could have had a sort of a. When you think about the matches that Alan Angel, you kind of think, well, if Sosa was dead, you would have had, the Tihani Sosa sort of final. That's kind of a bit of a real loss, because he's not had that. I don't say I'm not going to blame him for taking that opportunity if it's what he feels is the right thing. He's just got to get his head down, knuckle down, and win us back. I think win the people back, and I think there's a lot of people who are quite happy to cheer him. They don't care about it like some of us maybe do, and rightly or wrongly. But he's got to just basically step it up, and I'm hoping by the Autumn Festival it's all forgotten. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, one way or another, I know he did Impact, of the Impact match he had last night as we were recording this. I know TNA's running, we've got a special tonight, I believe it is, as we tape this. Again, we don't know if there's a tryout and it came for TVP until he's actually signed. I mean, that hasn't stopped Leon Slater, and the only time the stuff with Leon got a bit weird was when WWE were actively using him, so it's not like signing for TNA means you're done. It's just using the Leon Slater precedent, I guess you'd say. You definitely want to, be a little bit more careful about what are you using him for, like, what dates do you have him for? Because, like, we've seen Danny Luna being an example. Guys who you've had who, but TNA, and I don't know how organised TNA's recording schedule is these days, but you've had TNA, having their tapings, same weekend as big wXw shows. Well, at that point, is the value of Ricky Sosa, because he's a TNA guy, negated by the fact that you can't get him for your big shows? And I think that's a question of the Felix and the guys in the office that have to look at and see, because I mean, let's be frank.
It's a joke throwback to a period of WXW history which we hated. I think we all hated unanimously.
I think that brought back.
And unfortunately, that's what I felt like.
Yeah. Not to be glib, it brought back PTSD from those days where guys were being yanked at the last minute.
It's sad that it's Ricky Sosa that's happened, because I think Ricky Sosa is a worker I'm a huge fan of. I think he the upside for him is astronomical. I think he could genuinely be I think he could be a top star in WXW for sure. And obviously that's not belittling the European belt at all. But like, as I say, I think he can stand on the same level. Ahura, Tihani, that sort of level, without question. I think fairly quickly. It's just, unfortunately, this is just the biggest opportunity of his career, TNA. It's 16 Carat Gold, and unfortunately, he chose the wrong one, in my opinion. To say.
Yeah. And I'd say as well, just the fact that, at least from the WXW side, he's only 6 months in.
Yeah.
And you can argue, is it too soon for him? Well, we'll see. And again, if this was a one and done, or it's a glorified tryout with TV experience, well, that's going to work. But I know he's got a load of dates in Las Vegas coming up over WrestleMania weekend, so that's going to help. I doubt they all came off the back of the TNA thing, unless TNA was sorted out his visa. And if that's the case, that kind of leaves a cookie trail for what's going to happen next. But time will tell. Because we've got one more match left to opine over. It's, of course, the final. Ahura winning 16 Carat Gold, beating Peter Tihani in 21 minutes. And we've said this, I've definitely said this before, Who and Tahani not having like that kill shot finish was a bit towards the end where it just felt like you've hit your moves, well you can do hit your moves again. And at the end it ended up being, well, you did, because we were just so beat down. I think the finish we had, the throwback to Walter of old,
Yeah.
where he tapped twice, but in wXw you've got to tap 3 times for it to count. I know the fellow sat next to the balcony, he was a little bit. He tapped you, that should be it. Well, no, it's already established in this. Yeah. It was a precedent
Well,
there.
that wasn't only, that's a general rule, I think, of wrestling, because that same rule was done in done in the WWE as well, I believe.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
put by Waltz, well, I think, or
Yeah.
Gunther now. But yeah, as a final, the only thing I would say, you had both guys coming in, Tahani with the ribs and back, Ahu with the shoulder. Did they not have any athletic tape? Like, isn't that the whole thing? Is you're wrapped up like a mummy when you're coming in with injuries, if only just to show that, hey, this is a bit that's really hurting me. This is a bit the other guy's going to work over.
The only way I disagree with that is if you tape things up, it becomes a target, and if then somebody is working it and they're not working that thing, then it looks dumb.
True. And to be fair, a lot this match, Tahani did go after the shoulder a fair amount, but who didn't really go after the ribs too much. I think a lot of this was just two beaten down guys who had the most left in the gas tank. But I think this finished course who were winning. He powered up after the fake tap out, Salamander and the win. Afterwards, we had Peter Tahani, begrudgingly giving him a handshake and saying, "Look, if you want to be face of the wXw, you have to stay. So are you staying?" Of course he is. And now the guy who started as Prince Ahura, he's now calling himself Gold King Ahura. And retirement's off, Mike.
Who said that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good story. I mean, if the fact that it had everyone biting on everything, tells you that it would work. I mean, you can't do this all the time. You can't.
It added edge to it, and the other thing is, with Ahura, you couldn't 100% be sure that it wasn't a shoot. Because he's one of them. He's one of the most unpredictable people. I can think of. So I think for that reason, it wasn't entirely out of the possibility that he is just going. So
yes, I mean, and as we said, like if he said, "Oh, I'm winning and leaving," yeah, that probably would have left a sour taste, and we probably could have done the Bloom. Hey, you were for top. What are you going to do? And I guess we'll touch on this because in the Shotgun vlog, the vlog portion of Shotgun, they brought that up and mentioned, or who mentioned, you have to speak. I'm wearing a towel. I've won König to Catcher. I've won 16 Carat Gold. This is bigger than anything, even the world title.
Yeah.
So there's your little seed for a bit further down. Maybe he doesn't want to take the title shot now. Whether you want to frame that as, because he doesn't think he can beat Bloom, and he generally does think that the two tournaments are bigger than a title reign. Yeah. That's definitely something they've planted that seed very obviously for the future. But the fact that we've got Bobby Guns as the here and now means that you're not trapped in that hamster wheel of same opponent. So that's good. But my God, we've gone nearly 2 hours on this. Is there anything else from the shows or any standouts from the weekend you want to call up before we wrap up the news bits?
I just think in generally there wasn't very much that, like, I feel like a lot. Much like sort of, I feel like the Autumn Festival was slightly higher, sort of, but I think across the board there was a lot more sort of interesting things going on. And like, as I say, the fact that the whole format of the promotion is slightly changing now. The introduction of Shotgun, there was little things that are sort of dropped in that now means like that can be a more week to week thing rather than sort of a, you're thinking. It's just the general sort of storytelling narrative of the promotion is sort of completely changed, and I think that's quite an exciting place to be.
I do think we're getting back to the old days where pretty much everyone on the roster has their place and they are doing. It's almost like the old Vince Russo days where everyone had something to do. You weren't booked on the show because you were wrestling. Pretty much everyone in there has a reason to be. Like, I'm not going to run down everyone on the card, but like you look at the just Wheel of Wrestling. Murashima's where he's the guy from Japan coming over for experience. Planet Kojima, the tag champions there beating off all comers. You want to go down CSI, they're just there to annoy everyone. Kayfabe on the show, of course. Dieter Schwartz, he's there to try and not have a crowd turn on and all that. You've even got this is something they've mentioned and haven't followed up on. KXS. You had that nugget at the end of last year, them annoyed and threatening to go their separate ways. That's not been followed up on. Not because it's been dropped cold, because you've got the two pretty much saying there, we'll go our own separate ways and see how it works. That's going to be something they come back to. So I think it's a complete package. I mean, they streamed the entire weekend. English and German on wXw now is also on Triller and IWTV. So certainly on Twitter, I saw a lot more buzz for this. Than having past years that streamed live. I don't want to be all past sense of over feelings back, but certainly in terms of bodies through the door, through the goodwill we've seen from Shotgun Return. This is if I don't say we're back to the the golden days, but it definitely feels like everything's pointing up.
Yeah, I think definitely, and it the hard work over the last sort of 4 years is, I think it's finally sort of paying off. People are slowly, there was a wonderful group of us. If you're friends, if you know us, you see maybe the end of weekend photographs, and there's maybe been 9 of us, but this time it's huge photograph because people are coming back.
I swear, one of those tag league weekends, there's maybe 5 of us.
Yeah, there has.
And the group photo from this past weekend, there's a lot of folks in Ireland. I know there's reasons why, but a lot of folks in Ireland, meeting, from being told, meeting each other for the first time since the pandemic. That's the good old days. As much as the wrestling has been good, it's everyone getting. There's a lot of people you see there who you'll know from Twitter, from social media, and I joke with people at work, there's people I know I only see in Oberhausen.
Yeah.
Especially now that we both stopped going to Ref Pro. Most time I only see you as in Oberhausen. Yeah. And same Matthew, God knows. I mean, we've been doing this for 8-9 years now. He still, for some reason, thinks I live up north. I've been down south for 15 years, and the only time I see him is inside a turbine hall, 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of those. It's
the hard work. It's the hard work of the company and the dedicated fans who've remained. I think it's to put ourselves over. The hard. I think the hard work of the promotion. They kind of had to start from nothing in 2020. As I sit and look at my Shotgun 2020 signed poster. They had to kind of start from literally nothing or not very much, and you look at Ahura as someone, in fact, it's something I completely forgot about until last week, but Ahura won Tagfest 2019.
Yep,
I completely forgot about that. But Ahura was sort of Shotgun 2020. He was sort of a minor bit part character, sort of one of Bobby and the Bastards. As I called them, and then
I remember
disappeared for a year.
Mm-hmm. I remember the 2022 Tag Festival, the one with Chris Brooks came over for. They did that whole thing night through. So the whole thing was at night 1 he was there, night 2 he was some Magatacha wrestler by himself because who was quote unquote at a wedding, and night 3 came back hungover. And all throughout the match, he was doing the dry heaving, to the point where I vividly remember this. He headed up to where I was in the front row, leaned over me, and loudly did a dry heave to the point where I genuinely thought he was going to throw up on me. And then it's 6 months later, he then disappeared. He did the I think it was after Carat 2023, I think it was.
Yeah.
He did the whole served notice effectively, and then Carat the following year he returned, and he hasn't looked back. So, we said for time he had the highest ceiling of a bastards. Now, not to put down Maggot, but certainly his output this weekend and the last year, definitely proved that right. But
one of the most outstanding wrestlers in the world, and
I hope the fact this is being televised, being shown on, IWTV on Trills on a wide, broadcast space than previous. I hope this is the year where, I'm not saying vote a who because we say so, but certainly those observer polls, he at least gets on the ballot. It's not just for chalk Michael Oak because he's the one European name we recognise, or Leon Slate because he's the other European name we recognise.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, that's my best part of 2 hours talk about Carat. We've got a few news bits before we wrap up because it's getting late here, and a couple of bits. Stephanie Mays, she's off to Sendai Girls in Japan. Michael Sashmu was over in Oberhausen for Carat weekend. And it was a tweet that went massively under the radar there, basically, someone from wXw will be over for Sendai Girls for a prolonged spell. I think people kind of figured by process of elimination it wasn't going to be Jane Nero, so it's Stephanie Mays. A poster came out, I believe, on the Monday morning for a show in July. It's with Sendai Girls, along with Anita Vaughan and Sapphire Reed. So I don't know if Mays and Vaughan's, Sapphire and Anita's runs there is just for this one show, or not as quote-unquote prolonged as Stephanie Mays. But certainly it's always good to see, someone getting a shot elsewhere. wXw's had guys over on excursion from Japan, so going the other way certainly can't hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
Aaliyah Bloom, he's also heading over that part of the world. Hong Kong Pro Wrestling Federation. It's a tweet I saw from you. It's like, it's not AI, but what the hell is this?
Yeah.
He's on a post to a couple of shows there in Hong Kong alongside Ricky Marvin, Jason Lee, and Katsuhiko Nakajima. That's Fire Pro random button shit.
Yeah, random button.
And finally, as Tommy Geeson always says, I'm guessing his e-reader gimmick these days, Nakdem Festival is 4Dem Festival. Of course, we mentioned Chihiro Hashimoto and Mercedes Martinez. They were announced as the Femme Fatales. That's for June Pro Grand Prix weekend. Quick ticket check. One front row festival pass left of that, so if you want to go in September and you want front row, move fast. As for Carat, you're already a bit late. Front row tickets for Carat 2027, they were gone at 10 a.m. and tickets went on sale at 10. So I do wonder how much of the Fanatics pre-sale wipe those out, because I know the Oberhausen season ticket doesn't cover Carat, so it'd be interesting to see just how many were there to go, because I logged on at 9:59 and they were long gone.
Yeah.
VIP stuff, there's a couple left there. If you want rows 2 and 3, you got 5 combined between the festival and tournament weekend. So the primo seats have gone, but we're a year away from the Pirates of the Caribbean themed tournament next year. So we'll see what we've got, but certainly you get into the heady days of progress, certainly when it comes to the prime seating for these. So we'll keep an eye on those as the year goes. Coming next, we've got a bunch of stuff. So remember the new shotgun stuff. We're doing shotguns for Thursday after live stream. So not all these shows will have a shotgun after it. Basically, it's a named show, not a Wheel of Wrestling Live. If it's not a Wheel of Wrestling Live, it will not be a shotgun. But after all, these will be. So next up, March 28th for Batch Cap, we have Wheel of Wrestling 75, 16 Carat Gold Revenge. Should have taken a deeper breath of that. 4 matches announced. Alex Duke against Katsuya Murashima. Lil Mars against Jane Nero. Amadeo challenging Dennis Stolnick for the shotgun title. And we're getting the Bobby Guns challenging Aaliyah Bloom for the Unified World Wrestling title. And I guess there'll be a few more matches on then. Probably some shotgun stuff as well, based on... Well, I do have... won't give this up, but we'll give a match. Johnny Robbie against Orshi was taped on the Sunday for shotgun, so I suspect if it's a bit of a backlog, that'll probably be a delayed version of shotgun. The next night, March 29th, for Club from Hell in Orford, Wheel of Wrestling live taping. April 11th, Wheel of Wrestling 76 streaming live at the Stromberg in Dresden. Then the next night, April 12th, Hellraiser in Leipzig, Wheel of Wrestling 77. A couple of weekends off, and we've got a couple of Wheel of Wrestling lives. April 25th, Alta Kessel Schmieder in Papenburg. Shame that one's not streaming, but guess maybe just didn't work out this time. April 26th, the Kulturwerkstatt in Paderborn, another Wheel of Wrestling live. May 9th, Event Hall Airport, Noble Traveling. It's a live show. May 16th, for Market Hall Hamburg for True Colours. May 3rd for Lacasse, Halle in Mendig for another Wheel of Wrestling live. And then June 6th, Turbine Halle for Driver Champions. And at that point, we've only got like 2 shows before Person Grand Prix.
And the good thing to note about that is Ahura is announced for every single one of those shows.
Yep.
There we go.
So if you couldn't go to Carat and thought, oh crap, I missed out on them, nope. There's that lovely photo on the wXw socials and on their website, basically saying, see the Gold King staying.
Yeah, he's on every single one of their match shows.
Every single one of those dates I just mentioned, he is on those shows. So if you're not going to make a trip, or if you live anywhere close to those and you want to see him, good luck. He's going to be on those cards.
Exactly.
But Mike, this has been an absolute marathon 2-hour show. Where do people want to find you if they want to catch you on social media to relive your weekend?
So I am at Mike Kilby on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. One thing I will say is keep an eye on my accounts because there is going to be something coming out soon. I can't reveal what it is, but it's something very sexy. It's not my OnlyFans. But yeah, no, there's a secret thing I can't talk about which will be coming out, so keep an eye on my pages.
We'll keep an eye for the Ahura cosplay. I'm at Ian Wrestling on everything. We keep an eye on at Big Back Body Drop on Twitter, at Back Body Drop on Instagram. There's photos dripping out from Carat Weekend. They're up on the website as well. But yeah, Mike, that's probably been our longest episode we've done
for a while.
I think, if not ever.
Yeah.
If this is your first time listening to us, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, any podcast app, just search for Alfred Fresse podcast. You'll find us there. This is our 70th episode, believe it or not. Yeah. And we always used to dream of days like these when it came to Shotgun. It's back. But we're going. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time after 16 Carat Gold Revenge. Thanks for listening.
Just one more thing as well. Just to say, obviously, we had a lot of lovely people come up to us over Carat Weekend and just said some very lovely things about the podcast. People who we do know, we've known for a long time, but also people who we didn't know. And for all of those people, I just want to say, I think from my perspective and probably from yourself as well, thanks for listening. And hopefully you're enjoying what we're putting out. I think it's taken a bit of time, but I think we're finally finding our feet a bit now.
It always blows my mind when people who I've never seen come up to you and it's like, and bear in mind, my face is not put out there that much.
Yeah,
so
we're not a video
doubly
podcast
so.
As well.
Yeah,
so.
And like, I don't do merch table stuff much, but every time one wrestler spoke to, oh yeah, we all know who you are. It's like, oh fuck, what have I said? And also, you mentioned earlier, but Howard Brief was really great catching up with Dennis and Christian over the weekend. Yeah. They were floating around. Obviously, not doing meet and greets and like, but good to see. Good to see them back, in any capacity as fans or what have you. And like I say, we used to dream of days like these. We've been Alfred Fresse, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Cheers.
Cheers.